Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today is the first of our sort of more traditional English lessons that we will be delivering to you. As you know, when we start an English lesson at the start of the half term, we have a new book, and today is no different. So here we're going to be introducing you to our new book, which is Cosmic by Frank Cottrell Boyce. Okay. And can I just say a quick welcome? I appreciate Penguin students will be very familiar with me by now. But I'd just like to say a big hello also to Polar Bears students. I appreciate, although you almost certainly see me around school, I haven't actually introduced myself properly to all of you. So it's lovely to have the opportunity to be your teacher today. Obviously, I am Mr. Messenger, as I'm sure you probably know by now. And yeah, I feel very lucky to be teaching both classes today, which is lovely. Basically, a little bit of word on how this session is going to work. What's happened is, so I've recorded my input that I would normally deliver, or Ms. Hedgeman would normally deliver to the class, and then what will happen is you will work through this with me now, and then I've also recorded myself reading the first 3 chapters of our book Cosmic, and you will need to listen to those. I've had those, they're separate files. You need to listen to those, and that will help you with your main activity. Okay, so that's sort of the structure, and obviously because this is a recording, you can pause as and when you need to, and there'll be times when I'll ask you to pause or to have a go at a certain question or whatever that may be. But no, obviously this is our first time using this, so we'll see how it goes. But hopefully, if this goes well, then we will continue with this format. And yeah, I think we'll get started. So our word of the day is cosmic. Okay, so name of our book. Now, what do we mean by the word cosmic? So we think about things relating to the universe or cosmos, especially distinct from Earth, okay? So when we think about the word cosmic, we might refer to something as a sort of a cosmic matter, okay? Something beyond the scope of our Earth, okay? Perhaps this is something that's difficult to understand, or something that's far away and sort of, just not part of our daily lives as a cosmic matter. Or we could think of things, so you could describe, for example, like an earthquake of cosmic proportions. Okay, so something that is vast. I guess when you think of space, you think of this huge unknown thing. Okay, so we're thinking of size, and we're thinking of things that are difficult for us to understand. Okay, when we're using the word cosmic. So, what can that tell us about our book? So, I was going to share with you the learning objective. As a reader, can I make appropriate predictions about a book based on the first few chapters? Okay, so as I mentioned, I've recorded the first 3 chapters for you to listen to today. But I just want us to have a think now, as I show you the front cover on our screen, is what can we deduce and sort of from this book, and can we make any predictions about what's going to happen later on in the book? Okay, so we've got our word cosmic. Okay, we know that means beyond Earth and vast and difficult to understand. And this is that theme is sort of is followed up, isn't it? If you notice, the O of the word cosmic has got what appears to be sort of a bit like the planet Saturn. Okay. And then we have a tagline. Have you noticed the tagline? It's one giant leap for boy kind. Now, how many of you will, I'm sure many of you will have heard of before when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon and his famous speech, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Okay, so they're playing on that. But they've switched to say from mankind to boy kind, okay? And clearly this is a book for children, and it would imply that there's children inside the book, okay? And then what about the pictures? Should we have a look at the pictures? So you've got what appears to be a very tall boy wearing school uniform, holding a helmet, okay? Next to a much smaller girl, also in a spacesuit. Or no, not also in a spacesuit, she's in a spacesuit, he's in school uniform. And they're facing a rocket, okay? So, what we can start to make some predictions and think about what this book could be about, okay? And you might be thinking, why would we care about a front cover? But for example, if you're in a library and you're faced with hundreds of books and you're desperately trying to find something that you really want to read, sometimes you might not have a chance to read obviously you're not going to have a chance to read the whole thing. You might even get a chance to read the blurb, but you can look at that front cover and be like, oh, that's going to work for me, or I think that's going to be a good one. And then you might look a bit further, you might read the blurb, and you might sort of, get a feel for the book. But this is important skills to develop, okay? So what's going to happen now, I'm going to read you the newspaper cutting before the first chapter begins, okay? So this book, it has, you're not going to be able to see the book very clearly, but it has this is the very, sort of the bit at the front, and then this is before the first chapter, okay? This is a newspaper cutting. You can think of this as kind of like a teaser for the book itself, okay? So I'm going to read this to you, and what I want you to do is just note down some predictions. It's very sort of, note bullet point style form about what you think might happen in this book, okay? So I'm going to show you the front cover, and then I'm going to read you this, and I just want you to have a go at writing that down, okay? So, a rocket launched yesterday from a private site in northern China is missing. Yesterday, the internet was alive with rumors of a secret manned space mission. Today, NASA and the Russian Federal Space Agency both confirmed that a rocket did take off, but denied it was theirs. The rocket entered high orbit and then disappeared into deep space. No manned rocket has left Earth's orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972. Right. So I'm going to give you, take a minute or so, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, just to jot down some ideas about what you think that passage might tell you, okay? And then you can pause the video here, and then when you come back, we'll have a quick discussion, okay? So go for it. Right, welcome back. So what were sort of the things you got down, okay? For me, when I read that passage, I was thinking that the key theme in my mind was a theme of a bit of mystery, okay? Obviously there's space going on, and there's a rocket being launched and all that kind of stuff, but for me it's the mysteriousness that's sort of standing out for me. When it says, a rocket launched from a private site in northern China, kind of like, it's not giving you the location, it's private, it's all a bit hush-hush, okay? And then it's got, there's rumors spreading about this secret mission, okay? It's exciting, and it's sort of, no one really knows what's going on. You've got the major agencies, people like NASA, they're saying like, yeah, it happened, but we don't know, it wasn't us, and we don't really know what's going on either, okay? And then it's got this idea where the rocket is going to go into, it's disappeared into deep space. Now, space itself is scary and far away. Deep space, I mean, even more so, okay? So there were some of the things that I thought about, and I thought about, that's sort of but in terms of what I think could happen, I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm not going to share, obviously I've read the book, so I'm not going to share my predictions, but I've already read it. But yeah, those are some of the ideas that came to mind. I was like, ooh, and then you might be thinking about, okay, well, who is behind this? What's going to happen? Okay, is there someone? Is there sort of some evil thing going on in the background about this mission that's suddenly gone? Has something gone wrong? That was another thing that I've taken from that is, if it's disappeared into deep space, that doesn't sound like it was planned. Okay, that sounds like something has gone wrong. So you might have to start to think about, well, what went wrong? Okay, that's the idea there. Right, we're going to continue. Now, what we do have here is a little bit of retrieval practice, okay? So what's going to happen is we're going to link this in to our book. So we're thinking about retrieval practice. For example, do you remember when you did your tests back in November, and for the reading tests, you were given passages of text and you had to read those passages and then answer questions on them afterwards, okay? And what we're doing is we're just trying to train our skills, our reading skills, our listening skills, to be good at picking out key bits of information, important things, okay, that we can then use to answer questions and start to build up an opinion and an understanding of a text or what's going on. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to read you the opening to the first paragraph. It's about 2 to 3 minutes worth of text. And then I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Now, I'm aware that you can quite easily pause and skip to me reading you the answers, but really there is absolutely no point. So please do just give the answer questions a go. There's 4 questions. It shouldn't be too, obviously I don't know what score you got, and it doesn't matter. The important point is that you're practicing the skill and you're giving it a go, okay? So I'm going to read you the text now, and then I'm going to share with you the questions. Chapter 1. I'm not exactly in the Lake District. Mum, Dad, if you're listening, I said I was going to the South Lakeland Outdoor Activity Centre with the school. To be completely honest, I'm not exactly in the Lake District. To be completely honest, I'm more sort of in space. I'm on this rocket, the infinite possibility. I'm about 200,000 miles above the surface of the Earth. I'm all right, ish. I know, I've got some explaining to do, and this is me doing it. I lied about my age. I sort of gave the impression I was about 30. Obviously, I'm more sort of 13-ish on my next birthday. To be fair, everyone lies about their age. Adults pretend to be younger, teenagers pretend to be older. Children wish they were grown-ups, grown-ups wish they were children. It's not like I had to try very hard, is it? Everyone always thinks I'm older than I really am, just because I'm tall. In St Joan of Arc Primary, the teachers seem to think that height and age were the same thing. If you were taller than someone, you must be older than them. If you were tall and you made a mistake, even if it was only your first day, you got, you should know better, big lad like you. Why, by the way? Why should a big lad know better just because he's big? King Kong's a big lad. Would he know the way to the toilet block on his first day at school, when no one had told him? No, I don't think he would. Right, so there's our opening to the first paragraph. Now, first question. Yes, hopefully you were all listening carefully. First question, what is the name of the rocket the child is on? So think back to what I read, okay? See if you can recall and retrieve what I read. Give you a little bit of time. Question 2. What was the narrator's mistake on his first day at school? Question 3. According to the narrator, what does everyone lie about? And finally, question 4. How old is the child? Right, I'm going to go through the answers. So, question 1. What is the name of the rocket the child is on? Infinite possibility. Okay, so in the text it says, I'm on this rocket, the infinite possibility. If you wrote the infinite possibility, that's absolutely fine, that's correct as well. I'll take that. Okay, so question 2. What was the narrator's mistake on his first day at school? I think this could be quite a tricky one actually for some of us. Not being able to find the toilets. So where you found this in the text was, he says, if you were tall and you made a mistake, even if it was only your first day, you got, you should know better, big lad like you, okay? So that's when you're told that it was his first day at school, and it's sort of building up to this mistake. But then it says, how you know it's not being able to find the toilets is, would he know the way to the toilet block on his first day at school? Okay, when he mentions King Kong. So he's all clearly got in trouble for not being able to find the toilets. He's probably late for his lesson and his teachers have told him off. Okay, so that was the narrator's mistake on his first day at school. According to the narrator, what does everyone lie about? So this one, I think this one was quite an easy one. To be fair, everyone lies about their age. And then he goes on to list the adults, the teenagers, the children, and the grown-ups, okay? So their age. And then the last one, another potentially tricky one, is how old is the child? So, obviously, the child says, obviously, I'm more sort of 13-ish. But then he says, on my next birthday, okay? So if you're 13 on your next birthday, that would imply that you are 12. Excellent. Hopefully you all had a good go at that. Now, we're going to move on. So at this point, you will now need to listen to the individual chapters of the book that I've pre-recorded, okay? They're separated, so you've got chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And there's a couple of things that I want you to think about as you're listening to these chapters and jotting down, because this is really going to help you with your activity later on, okay? I'm going to list them now. So as you're listening, note down the following things. What you like so far. So what do you find exciting about the book? What's, maybe you really connect with one of the characters, or just the general space theme is exciting to you and you think, wow, this is going to be brilliant. I can't wait to read this, okay?
Maybe you really like the descriptions, the really, really vivid descriptions, and you think it's a fantastic use of English, you know, the starts of the book. Maybe whatever it is you find that appeals to you, get it down, okay? What you dislike, it's absolutely fine to both like and dislike things at the same, you know, about the same book. You're not going to love everything. So we're thinking, you know, we're trying to be critical, of course. Like if you are giving a reason, please do try and sorry, if you're giving something that you like, dislike, please do try and give a reason to be as critical as possible. But yes, if there's things you don't like, you know, then mention it, okay? Write it down. Questions or things that confuse you. Now, this is going to be an important one. What we're going to do is, as we work through this book, we're going to be sort of compiling a list of things that are confusing you or you're not sure on, and then we're going to sort of cover them and sort of weave that into our future teaching, okay? Because there will be some concepts, there's some scientific concepts in this book and some things that you might be unfamiliar with or a little bit unsure on. And the idea is that we can, if we know what those are, if we know what they are, we can then help you and teach them, you know, and make it make sense for you. Okay, so any questions or things that confuse you, but this could also be things that are questions about what has happened. You think, well, why did he do that? Or why did the author use this bit? Or why has he told us this but not this? Okay, that's what we're trying to go for here. And then things that the book reminds you of. Okay, so maybe it reminds you of a certain film that you watched, or another book. Maybe there's another book you've read about space, or maybe the character reminds you of a previous character you've read about, or you know, or watched, whatever it may be. Just starting to sort of make those links in our mind about things that we've seen in the past. Okay, that's another thing to think about and write down. And then finally, tying into our learning objective for the lesson, any other predictions you have about what will happen in the book. Okay. So having now heard those 3 chapters, you've seen the front cover, you know what the title means, okay? Can you now start to make predictions about what will happen in this book and sort of chart out in your mind where you think the author is going to go, okay? So that one is the most important one. That's the one I'd like you to focus on the most, okay? Now, what's going to happen is you are now going to pause this video and you're going to go to the recordings and listen to me. Unfortunately, it's me again reading, so sorry about that. But it's yeah, so it's about 15 minutes worth of reading through those 3 chapters. And then once you've read those, obviously, by all means, when you're doing your activity, you can jump back into those and listen to them again if there's anything that you're like, oh, I want to listen to that bit again, or I want some bit more clarification on that. But once you've done that, just to let you know what we're working towards is we're working towards creating a mind map that contains all of these things, okay? So now please do go now and listen to the chapters. Think about those things that I've mentioned here. Try and note them down and then come back to here. I'll be waiting, obviously, and we can talk you through how I'd like you to set out your mind map and the expectations and what we're hoping to achieve, okay? So off you go, and I'll see you soon. Right, so welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to the first 3 chapters of the book. And so, as I mentioned just before I set you off, we are going to be creating a mind map, okay? And this is going to be our main activity for today, okay? Is to create a mind map that contains all of the thoughts and ideas that we spoke about just before I set you off to do your reading. And you're going to be submitting this mind map via Teams, okay? So you need to obviously create a mind map, but then I'd like you to submit it so I can see it and the other teachers can see what you've done, okay? Now, there's different ways you can do this. I've just kind of outlined one here, the way that I was thinking how I would lay it out. But by all means, if you want to be creative and do it differently, that's absolutely fine. As long as it's clear and I can start to get a sense for your ideas, I'm happy, okay? So this is how I envisioned it in my head. So I have my cosmic in the middle, okay? And then I've got my arrows pointing out. Now, the first arrow I've got is I've sort of done it, so I've got kind of like subheadings, I guess. So I've got my likes, things that I liked about the first 3 paragraphs, okay? Get those down. Then I got my questions, anything that I was like, oh, I don't know. Why did they do that? You know, or what was the point of that? Or why are they not telling us this information? Okay, that's where I would record that there. And then I've got my dislikes. So this is all about, and then you've got my things that remind me of. This is all about sort of just giving it some structure, because some of you might just have so many ideas in your head and you just write them down, but then it might be hard when you come back to this. Because what I'd like to do is come back to this obviously, as we develop and read more about the book, we can actually say, well, what did we think about the book at the start? And did it match up with what actually happened? Okay, so this is a really nice thing for us to do. And then the last one is, as we said, the most important one is your predictions. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen in this book? That's what I'm really excited to see. I'm sure you're going to let your imaginations run wild and come up with some brilliant ideas. Okay, and if you want to sort of intertwine some of your knowledge about space and some of your extra things that you are aware of and some background stuff, then please do. Okay, if you think this is going to happen because of this, what I'd really like I say, is for you to be critical. Okay, so particularly when we're talking about things like our likes, our dislikes, our questions, make sure we're not just saying it was good. Okay, make sure you're giving me reasons and justifying your arguments. Okay, brilliant. And like I say, we'll take any of the sort of the questions and things you're not sure on. We will compile them and make sure we can sort of address those as we work through the book. So hopefully that all makes sense. I'm going to leave you there because you've got this to do now, and hopefully you know what to do. Like I say, this will be submitted via Teams, so please do upload it, and we will mark this and let you know our thoughts on what you've done. But for now, I'm going to leave you. It's been a fun experience recording this. I very much enjoyed it, and yes, I hope you've started to engage in the book and you're looking forward to finding out more. Okay, so good luck, and I will see you soon.